because your best thinking is flawed. Interestingly enough, your best thinking is based on information compiled from your past experience. What else have we got to use? We can't use someone else's past as a guide, although that wouldn't be a bad idea. It would basically be the equivalent of learning from someone else's experience. However, most of us are reluctant to do that because we tell ourselves, well, this might not have worked for all those other people, but I'm different. I can pull it off. That's our ego spinning out of control. Our ego tells us that millions of other people are wrong and that only we are right. So honoring our collective weakness as people in being able to learn from someone else's mistakes and keeping with the concept of using our own past as our guide, the next thought should make perfect sense to you. Obviously, you cannot change your past. The only thing you can change is how you view it. You can only change your perspective of your past. In order to do that, you need to draw on this quote-unquote new information, and therefore it must also change your quote-unquote database, so to speak, the place from which you draw your information. You need to fill it up or reprogram it with this new information, which is basically spiritual wisdom, leading to a whole new perspective and a new positive worldview. In doing so, you can literally, quote-unquote, change your mind. In accomplishing that, you give yourself the opportunity to release these gnawing, insidious, damaging heart wounds you've been carrying all these years that have been ruining your relationships, influencing your decisions, and have been making you physically and emotionally ill. I'll be discussing this concept at length throughout the book, but realizing that the problem lies partially with you is a very important step. For instance, if you keep on having the same bad relationship with different people, where the details are the same and the only thing that changes are the names, it's important to realize that the only common denominator in all those relationships has been you. It isn't possible that all of those people who don't even know each other got together to conspire against you. In each and every one of those relationships, only you keep turning up. Unfortunately for me, I'm more than qualified to have written this book because I mentioned earlier, I too have been wounded in my heart. The ideas and techniques I discuss in this book are the ideas and techniques I have had to use in my own life in order to help me release my own heart wounds, so that I could begin to accomplish the things I was meant to accomplish. This book was one of them. I had to learn to incorporate many new concepts into my life to help reduce my own stress so that I could make some sense out of what I was going through and better understand the events that had occurred. For example, one of the most important concepts I ever had to learn was the one I mentioned earlier in talking about mistakes. I had to understand that every single thing that ever happened to me, even, or should I say especially, the things I thought were bad, happened exactly the way they were supposed to. If I hadn't had to suffer every single one of the heart wounds I received and be given the grace to survive them, I wouldn't be exactly who or where I am right now at this very moment in time. Not one single thing in my life could have changed, or else every other thing in my life would have changed as well. For example, there have been times in my life when I didn't want to be me. At those times, although I might not have realized it then, I was engaging in self-hatred. One of my own personal realities is that I have been blessed with two amazing daughters that mean the world to me. They were given to me by the woman who was their mother and my wife. It took me a long time to realize that if I had been anyone else, as I had often wished I was, or been even slightly different, I might not ever have met the woman who gave me the things that are the most dear to me in the entire world, my two daughters. That woman was attracted to me exactly the way I was, and if I had been any different, who knows what might have happened. I may have had other children, or I may never have had the opportunity to even have children. There are no guarantees in life, but the one thing that is for sure is that without my ex-wife's DNA, it certainly couldn't have been those two children, the ones that make my heart fill with joy. Although we weren't able to stay together, I will be eternally grateful to her for giving me that gift. In one sense, nothing in life ever really has to happen. When you have somewhere to go, you could always leave your house 1 minute earlier or later than you actually do. And in doing that, you have to realize